Hey everyone, it's Matt. Have you ever wondered where all of the stimulus money has gone? Well, yeah, you're certainly not alone, which is exactly why we're going to be talking about that in this video. I think you're going to be absolutely shocked when you see the numbers that I'm about to discuss in this video and you realize how much of it went out to the American people and where did the rest of it go? It simply vanished, and whose pockets did it fall into other than yours? These are some eye-opening numbers. So with that being said, let's get into it. But hey, if you're new here or if you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video, as I am your daily advocate and the one-stop shop for everything stimulus, Social Security, and free money. I mean, that's just how it is. So thank you so much for your support. I really do appreciate it, and welcome to the channel. All right, let's talk about this. So I'm mainly going to be referring to the two main stimulus packages that everybody is aware of that were passed in 2020. Now, there were actually more stimulus packages passed in 2020, but most people don't actually know that simply because it didn't contain anything for the people, and they kind of passed under the radar. But hundreds of billions of dollars were passed in other stimulus packages that nobody's talking about. But let's just talk about the two that we do know about. The CARES Act, which was $2.2 trillion, passed in March, and the $900 billion passed in late December. We'll focus on those two and the numbers encompassed within them. All right, so let's talk about this. Like I said, the CARES Act, $2.2 trillion. The other package passed in late December, $900 billion. In total, $3.1 trillion worth of stimulus were passed in 2020. Now, of that, let's think about this a little bit further. Of the $3.1 trillion that was passed in the form of stimulus, how much of that do you think was in the form of stimulus checks? Just take a guess. How much of the $3.1 trillion that was allocated, that was to be distributed through stimulus packages that were passed, how much of that do you think encompassed stimulus checks? Just take a guess. What do you think it is? I'll tell you the number here. You got your guess? All right, it's probably a lot lower than what you actually think it really is. Here's the number, $500 billion. For those of you who enjoy math and fractions, that is less than 1/6 of the entire amount of money that was allocated through stimulus to be sent out in the form of stimulus checks. Now again, just to be totally clear, I'm rounding the number, $500 billion, and I'm rounding the $3.1 trillion. But, I mean, realistically, when we're talking about hundreds of billions and trillions, we can round a little bit. So roughly $500 billion of the $3.1 trillion allocated was in the form of stimulus checks. Now, everybody wants to know, hello, what happened to the other $2.6 trillion that was allocated? Where did it go? Whose pockets did it end up in? Well, yeah, that's anybody's guess at this point, but I think we can point some fingers at probably a few people that we probably know walked away with pretty fat pockets, if you know what I mean, right? Yeah, I think all of us know at this point. Anyway, let's talk about the stimulus checks a little bit further. So, $500 billion was allocated for stimulus checks. Well, if you caught my video just the other day, on Saturday, talking about the $200 per month raise for Social Security, SSI, and VA beneficiaries, in that video, I had a special message in there for President Biden saying, hey, what would it really cost to send out $200 per month to all of these beneficiaries for the next 10 and a half months? The reason I said 10 and a half months is because that's basically how long we have between now and the end of 2021. 10 and a half months. Well, don't worry. I ran the numbers, and it's a lot less than you actually think it is. So remember that $500 billion number on stimulus checks. Just keep a mental note on that number for just a second. We'll come back to it here in just a sec. All right, let's talk about this $200 per month raise for Social Security, including retirement disability survivors, SSI, and VA beneficiaries through the end of 2021. Right? I was calling on Biden's to say, hey, you guys are spending money like fools right now. How much would it really cost to send all of these people who are the most vulnerable and highest at risk an extra $200 a month? Well, I ran all the numbers. Let me give you a little bit of math. Well, not necessarily math, but let me give you some numbers here. I just looked all this stuff up. Pretty interesting. There are 61 million people drawing on Social Security benefits each and every month. In fact, the statistic is 1 in 5 people in the United States is drawing on Social Security. I mean, seriously? 1 in 5 people. That's a lot of people, right? 61 million people. On top of that, there's 10, again, roughly, I'm rounding these numbers a little bit, roughly 10 million people that draw on SSI each and every month, Supplemental Security Income, 10 million. Okay, now let's talk about VA, because remember, the original plan was to increase the benefits for Social Security, SSI, and VA beneficiaries by $200 a month. Okay, so we're adding up all these beneficiaries. We have 61 million for Social Security, we have 10 million for SSI, and another roughly 6 million per month for VA beneficiaries. Add it all together, that's 77 million beneficiaries on a monthly basis. Okay, I'm going to give you another guessing game. How much do you think it would cost to give all of these 77 million beneficiaries a raise of $200 per month? How much do you think it would cost per month to give these beneficiaries an extra $200? Do you have your answer? I'll tell you what it is. Again, I'm rounding the numbers a little bit, but here's what it is. $15.4 billion. That's it. $15.4 billion. Do you realize how many people in the United States right now could write a check for $15.4 billion? There's a lot. Multi-billionaires could write that check month over month. That is nothing. When it comes to the government and how much money they spend, $15.4 billion a month is literally peanuts. It's nothing to them. Literally nothing. Okay, I'll give you another guessing game. How much do you think it would cost the government to spend $200, or not spend, but send out an additional $200 per month for 77 million beneficiaries for the next 10 and a half months through the end of 2021, going back to my question for President Biden in my video on Saturday. By the way, if you haven't seen that video from Saturday, the $200 per month raise video, go back and check that one out. It's a pretty good message. And if you'd like, go on Twitter and tag all of those people on Twitter with that video. Let's get a bunch of people to see that video so everybody can see that everybody else is getting benefits except for all of you, my friends here that I look out for. Anyway, back to the question. How much do you think it would cost the government for the rest of the year, the next 10 and a half months, to send out $200 per month to these 77 million beneficiaries? You got your answer? Well, here's the real answer. Again, rounding the numbers just a little bit, $161.7 billion. That's it. $161.7 billion. That is it. Guess what? Remember the $500 billion number for stimulus checks that were allocated? Well, guess what? This $161 billion is less than 1/3 of the total amount of money that they allocated to send out in stimulus checks. We're not even counting all of the money that would be sent out in the form of the $1,400 stimulus checks. Guess what? That's going to be another roughly $500 billion. We're just talking about the first two stimulus checks, the $1,200 and the $600, $500 billion. And to send all of these beneficiaries an extra $200 a month for the rest of the year would only cost $161.7 billion. Do you see a problem here? I do. Seriously, this is unbelievable. $161 billion for the government is literally nothing. They spend that amount of money on the stupidest stuff you could ever possibly think of over the course of a year. But yet when it comes to helping the most vulnerable and those people who are most at risk, apparently they have a huge problem with it. I don't know. Seems like a huge problem to me, right? I mean, seems ridiculous. But anyway, I ran the numbers because I wanted to know for myself, what is the real math on all of this? And this is what it is. I thought the numbers were going to be a lot bigger because they're having such a cow over this whole thing. I've never said that in my videos, but it's kind of funny. They're seriously making a big deal about this. $161 billion is literally nothing, especially when they're looking at approving another $500 billion to send out in the form of stimulus checks. Wow, that's crazy. Anyway, I wanted to put this out there because a lot of people don't actually realize these numbers and where all this stimulus money has gone. Good question. Where has the other $2.6 trillion has gone when only $500 billion has gone out in the form of stimulus checks? Interesting, right? Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Certainly interesting stuff. I'm going to make another dedicated video talking about the breakdowns of all of this when it comes to Social Security. So if you've seen other videos similar to this talking about that, I want to make a dedicated video talking about the Social Security aspects. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Certainly eye-opening. It was very alarming for me when I started to run all of these numbers. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for your continued support. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, share the video, and check out my video from just a couple days ago talking about the $200 per month raise for Social Security, SSI, and VA beneficiaries, and that message in there for President Biden. Feel free to tag all of those people on Twitter. You can tag POTUS, which is President of the United States. You can tag the VP. You feel free to tag Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, Ron Wyden, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, all of these people. I don't know. Why not? Why not? I did it. I tagged all those people multiple times. Anyway, thanks everybody. I really appreciate you. I'll catch you in the next video. I'll see you soon.